overtime here, so let's go ahead and let's get started. I'm excited for this one. I was thinking, what can I share with people so that they could have the opportunity to learn how to make some of these charts and, you know, take the fear out of doing it. Is that okay with y'all? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and we already started this recording here, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can get the feel of what we're doing here. So how to build healing charts from just about anything. Hey, I think I'm finally learning how to create a title that might actually interest people. You know, there's so many things that I've done, and of course, you know, I've got about 60 charts. So when we build these charts, it makes such a difference. And of course, you just heard, those of you that were on the call already, heard what Barbara was able to do with the charts that she's learning. She's one of my Ultimate Healer students. And these things are put together from different things that I experience. So I've got 60 different ones. And every time I thought that Dr. Nelson's charts had everything. I just assumed that after spending that much money and spending that much time, that it was the end-all answer. And of course, it wasn't. That's when I started discovering that there was a few things that we needed to do and added different things to the modalities, from other modalities, I should say, that have made a difference. And exactly what Barbara was talking about, this German new medicine handles conflicts. It works with different things that are going on. Of course, it goes a little bit deeper, but there's no such thing as a coincidence that it just happened to have German next to it. That, I think, is pretty funny. That's pretty exciting, actually. So I thought, well, maybe let's take this a step further, because you know what? You're going to be adding to your books. Now, those of you who are not healers in the program so far, this is, you know, everybody knows pretty much that I have a book, and I'm going to stop the share real quick just so you can see the book that I use. Okay, so you're back to me. So anyway, I have this little book. Of course, you all know that it used to be full size, so it was a big binder, but now I've got the small half size. And in this book, there is a number of different sheets. We've got it narrowed down to, well, how many would you all say? Think, what, 50, 60 different charts that I have added to this. Now, sometimes there's more than one chart on there, but that's what I use when I run into that certain spot when I'm using Dr. Nelson's body code system. It hits where it says T3, where they're suggesting that you need to go see a three-dimensional therapist. And I use that as my takeoff point to go to these charts and figure out where we go from there. And the work has been amazing. It's actually changed my life from the things that I experienced and the things that I went through. And I look back on that sometimes and I say, those were real pit moments. In fact, that's what Tony's out there. We were both at that Ted McGrath program where we learned how to delve down and find those pit moments in our life, because you know what, it makes us real. And I think about in the last 10 years since I've been working with this program, how much it has changed my particular outlook on my complete life. Everything is different. I look back now because of the things that we've been able to clear. In fact, I've mentioned this a couple times to other people, but when you are trying to survive and you're in a class 5 river and you're just going down there with all these emotions and life is kicking you around and you have no boat and all you're thinking about is sucking air in when you get a chance. You're trying to direct yourself, and it's so frustrating when all you can do is suck in air. So one of the things that I do with this work is we take you out of the water. We put you either on a boat or on the side where you can take the emotion out of things. And when you look at things in the past, now you're looking at it from a completely different standpoint. And that gives you the opportunity to move forward instead of just being pushed around by the currents of your life. So let's go ahead and let's go back, and I'm going to share this program with you. There we go. One of the things that I have noticed is that you can build a chart literally from everything, for anywhere. Of course, all these charts I've got on this little picture up here are just some of the ones that I've put together. But modalities, where I've used the German new medicine, I've used the shadow work, I've used family constellations, self-sabotage, soul retrieval, a whole bunch of different ones. Each one of those has come from either a website, a book, a seminar, an idea. And of course, a lot of times I get these dreams and it tells me what I'm supposed to be doing. And I get up and I come in here and I start muscle testing and to find out what the actual answers are. And one of them is that soul blueprint that you've got in your books for the ultimate healers. So let's see, let's move forward here. There we go. Why do you even need charts? Well, can you imagine trying to figure out what's supposed to go on? In fact, that was one of the things with the three-dimensional therapy. There were no charts. And it's a great program, and it cost me, I don't know, $500, $600, $700, whatever it was for the system. But I got that, and there's a lot of phenomenal material there, but it's just so much material that there's no organization. But when I had that whole system, there's so much information that I would have to sift through. And when you do a session with three-dimensional therapy, usually it's an hour and a half. And a lot of times they say, now go with your intuition and you're finding what's going to be happening. And I'm going, I don't have any intuition when I first started doing this work. I'm just a cook. I'm got basic skills. I need help. I need to know where I'm going. Plus the fact I was a programmer years ago. So things, I like to have them organized. So one of the things that a chart does for you, it's like a table of contents for a book. You know, I've got a little book here that I write all my stuff into. And I don't know if you can see this in the little picture, but this little moleskin, or yeah, I thought they think they call it moleskin, some kind of book here that I got off of Amazon, and it's got graph paper because I like to work with graph paper. And it's got, it's not numbered, but it has about 200 pages in there. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I keep just writing things like I have been in the past and not figuring out where everything is, then it makes it hard for me to find anything later on. It's like trying to find something in your garage when you don't have it organized. So what I did at the beginning of this book was I literally created a table of contents. And so when I entered something in on this book, then in fact, let me quit sharing here again so you can see it a little bit better maybe. So this book here, you can see that I have lots and lots of stuff in here. And I've developed some of my charts and things off of the things I've written in here because when I get an idea, I take the time, I've got a pen right here in the front, I write it down. So what I did was I built this table of contents. So every time I enter something in, I go and I put in where that is and the page number so that I can find it again just by looking at that simple table of contents. Well, this is exactly like a chart. For me, this gives me an opportunity to quickly locate what I'm going to be dealing with. Let's go ahead and share again here. So that's really where we talk about there. It tells you where to start. Now we have a start chart that we've created for the Ultimate Healer program. And wouldn't you also agree, give me a thumbs up if you don't think that that makes a difference having that. Okay, the start chart is where you start. On every single thing that you go back to, you need to figure out where it is on the start chart, and it will tell you which other chart to go to so you can take care of a particular situation that you're dealing with. So when we go in there, and of course, we know that when we're healing something, a lot of times we're working with symptoms. And the symptom is when you go to the doctor, the symptom, he says, well, here, take this drug and it'll take care of that symptom. But it really doesn't take care of the problem. And a lot of times you have to drill down. Once again, it's the charts that are going to help you be able to do that. The other thing it does is it organizes the possibilities of a specific symptom. Another one, each chart is a part of a system to locate the symptom. I know, got a lot of S's in there. It also eliminates time wasted by guessing. So when I'm working with somebody, and a lot of times the subconscious doesn't need to know everything that we find. You know, in other words, let me take that back here. If you go to a regular therapist, a lot of times what they'll say is, you know, so tell me about this. How do you feel about this? So all these different questions, pretty soon, you know, he gets down there. So what do you think about your father? Why do you hate your father? Well, in this work that we do, it's very, I guess it's invasive, where you don't need to know why you hate your dad or what's going on, because we actually dial in and we figure out the things from your subconscious as we go along. Once again, the subconscious is the key, because why? It knows everything about you. It knows what happened. It knows when it happened. Of course, it doesn't know why it happened, but it does know what needs to happen in order to unravel that Gordian knot that it created in order to keep you breathing, which we know is the whole main purpose of the subconscious. So let's move on here. Okay, so muscle testing is our way of communicating with the subconscious and accessing, because we don't speak subconscious. And a lot of times the subconscious is trying to tell us stuff that we don't understand, basically. It's a matter of, I guess, as I understand it, let's put it this way. The subconscious is trying to notify us and saying, hey, you got issues. Hey, you got issues. And if you don't respond, then it says, okay, so what do I need to do to make you notice? Let's try a little pain. That might make it easier. Or let's say, hey, let's cause it so you have some issues with moving forward. Self-sabotage. That might be a way to let you realize that I'm trying to get your attention. And that's about the time that you go to a doctor. Well, a lot of times people get this pain, and then now that they understand what I do, they come to me. And a lot of times that's an opportunity for not only just for your subconscious, but also for people who have passed on to get the help to move forward. I had a brand new client, and I'm thinking, okay, let's do the good stuff, the easy stuff, so we don't freak anybody out. Sure enough, she had 3 people that needed some help crossing. She had family. Of course, it was no issue for her. She completely understood what was going on, but it was also causing pain in her wrists. And that's how the subconscious, or I suppose the entities, were affecting the body, but the subconscious was using those wrists as her trigger to say, hey, pay attention to me. We got some things that we need to do. So muscle testing, there's some restrictions, and here it is. You only get a yes or no, which is a strong or weak response. I think I put some stuff in here. There we go. Yes. How fancy is that? So, and then when we test that weak or strong, which is usually a yes or a no, and of course, most of you, if you've been on this before, we understand that muscle testing can be done a number of ways. In many modalities, it's done with the arm pushing down. And then I always like to teach people the sway test. Tony, we're going to be teaching those people there the sway test, and you too if you want to know. So anyway, we've got, okay, so one of the next things here is, like Google, it answers questions literally. So even though the subconscious has many different features and functions, it is like the internet. If you specify a question in a certain way, it's going to respond literally the way that Google does. You know, a lot of times you put certain things in there, and you notice that if you rearrange the words, or you maybe add another word, you get a whole nother list of things. Well, your subconscious is kind of that way too. So the closer, one of the reasons we have the charts is to help you so that the subconscious knows of other ways to communicate with you. This testing allows the subconscious to give you information if you learn how to listen to the different responses. So we weaken strong responses. You get things out there that you ask these questions, and of course, if you have charts, you know how to ask the question. And also, the subconscious knows how to respond to those questions. It finds the closest suggestion available to the answer. Let me bring up the emotion code chart real quick. And we'll go out there and we go into energies. Oops, yeah, there we go. So we've got the emotion code chart, and we notice that there's only 60 items on here on this chart that Dr. Nelson put together. Now we know that there's more than 60 emotions. That's why we have the expanded chart for those that have that in their healer program. A and B is not important, but the rows are. And he only put 10 different emotions for each one of these areas that creates these emotions. We got heart, small intestine, stomach, spleen, so forth, all the way down this list. So when we are working with the subconscious and we're asking about, hey, what is going on here? What's the emotion that we're dealing with? And we say, is it column A, column B, even, odd? It's 2, or if it's odd, it's be 1, 3. We say, okay, so we got defensiveness. Well, defensiveness might not be exactly what we're after, but it's close enough. So when you're building these charts and when you have options of other charts that might be taking you another direction, which is what I have built in my systems and what you're going to get to learn how to make tonight, that gives the subconscious another way of contacting you. Sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed this, there's something in here called the psychic trauma, or it's called the psychic trauma. You go to energies, post-traumatic, we got a psychic trauma. And sometimes that's when multiple emotions happen at the same time. And it's not uncommon when we have maybe 4 or 5 emotions that 2 of them might be the same thing. Well, what happens is when we look up the definitions, we find that, one was about, there's different definitions. It's like every word has got more than one definition. And so one might be one definition, and yet it's got the same defensiveness, and then it will have another definition for that same word. And that was the way the subconscious works. So just be aware that you can get the same answers off of your charts. So let's go back here and let's look at this. What else do we have here? Sometimes your subconscious wants to please you. It's not always accurate. So you always got to make sure that you're asking questions that you know when you're testing whether or not you're getting a correct answer. I've been fooled before, and I think sure there's something that probably needs to be cleared so that it can be stronger, but there's always that possibility. So always make sure that you're working as closely as you can, but by testing to say, give me a yes, give me a no. Make sure you always clear yourself before you start. Give yourself a baseline so you know where you're going. So where we go here. Let's see, next slide. When you finally figure out what you're going to want to do, you need to research your topic. So you choose your topic or your chart focus. Now say, and what we're going to give you a couple different examples here, but say I had that dream about the soul blueprint. What I did was I came in here and I had to start creating a list and try and figure out exactly what was in there. But you could pull anything. For example, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Iyanla Vanzant's book, Get Over It, because she's got a phenomenal little page in here that sounds an awful lot like our emotion code chart and the expanded one in a way. So there's a lot of cool stuff. So we're going to build a table out of that off of her stuff. But seminar notes, dream, whatever, you got to look for what you want to pull out of it. And does it have a table of contents? If it does, shoot, half your chart's already made. And is there a specific chapter? Which in her book, it's page 157, and I think it's it's the 42 dominant negative thought patterns, the DNTPs as she calls them. So that is what we're going to be looking at. But once you have that, is there already some kind of chart? We're going to talk about that, how simple it is to put this together. Now you do need to do some research because you want to figure out what is it am I going to pull out of this at the end of the day, you might say. So let's look at, here's some examples. Oh, shoot, I should have brought these up before. And we have some other things here. So we got books. Now, if you've worked with me, you probably know how I've talked about John Gabriel with the dieting. And of course, we have a chart in there that we use his book with the things that he has discovered on why people gain weight and how come they retain weight. And of course, a lot of you know that this complete dictionary of ailments and diseases is a stinking awesome book. But the thing is, it's a dictionary, and it doesn't have a table of contents, and it doesn't have a glossary or an index. So what you're looking for is numbers and letters. And so you know that the chart in there only has letters, and then it tells you where to go on the pages. Over here on the right-hand side, up here at the body meridians, this is off a website where I really love to have these particular descriptions. If you click on it, if you go to the website, a lot of times I will literally go to Google and put the chart in my head. In other words, I know that when I want to find out more about body meridians, when a meridian comes up and we've got one, and we say, oh yeah, it's the kidney meridian. Well, I pull up Google and I have it specified under one of the bookmarks that I just click on that and I go over and I bring up this website, and then I just click on the kidney meridian, and it takes me and shows me that entire meridian and a lot more information than I ever could have had written down or printed out. My book would be like a foot thick if I had to try and put everything in there. So the other thing about a chart is it helps you keep everything organized and smaller, you might say. Down below here on the right-hand side, you're going to see the Wikipedia, and I just checked this. It actually had changed. I had to go back and find it, and I thought, you know, okay, there's a great reason why I should print this out and put it on here. We're going to talk about that one too later on. But look at this list. And if I can use it off the internet, that's great, because I look at body fluids. A lot of times this comes up under dehydration, where the body needs some fluid or it's got an issue. And if you're looking over here and you got, okay, so here's saliva, sputum. Where's the one that always comes up? Seems to vomit. You'd be surprised how many times vomit comes up. And I'm going, why the heck? But if you have it in your mind that you're going to put it into a chart form, all you got to do is bring that up online, and then you click on vomit, and it takes you to a great definition. I mean, this is an extension to what you already have, which makes it awesome. So let's move on here. Oh, forgot about dreams here. Dreams are the other things, because you're going to get certain things into your mind that when you start working with this, this will start to happen to you. As you, like I said, when I first started, I was not a healer. I tested. I said, no, you're not a healer. But I can work the system. And I did work the system, and I worked at it, and I worked at it, and I worked at it. Now these things are coming to me. I am a healer. I've tested. It says, yes, you are a healer. So you are going to receive information from above. That's how this whole thing started. Dr. Nelson prayed about it. He researched it, and he got that download. He goes, Tom, yeah, that's like I got a download from above. And so he had that stuff coming into him for about a couple hours. He wrote it down. He created the charts over the next 17 years as he was working in his chiropractic clinic. And so that's where all the stuff came from, above. So this information is going to come in. And you got to remember, too, as we do this work and we release the different blocks that you have, your frequency is going to go higher and higher. And you know what? It's just like going from AM radio to FM radio. That's right, AM, FM. Yeah, okay, so AM, it's been a long time. We've gone past FM even now. So, but there's a whole new spectrum of information that you're receiving each time you raise your frequency. Does that make sense to y'all? Give me a nod if that makes sense, or a thumbs up. Okay, everybody clear on what we're talking about so far? Is there any questions so far? Well, keep moving if I don't hear anything. Okay, let's move forward then. Okay, one of the things that I have found is that it's very helpful when you have something that you want to build a chart on, then you go to use some kind of spreadsheet, you know, whether you're using Excel or there's just a bunch of different things out there that you can use. Some kind of spreadsheet program, and you start dumping all that information out there. It's like Einstein would do. There we go. I'm sure he didn't use Excel since computers weren't available very much at the point. But I know that I use Excel and I start creating a brain dump. I start doing brainstorming, and I start writing things down. I shoot for putting down as many as I can come up with, and 200 is usually a great list. And you got to remember, when you're doing brainstorming, you do not judge. You put anything that comes into your mind. Nothing is forbidden on this list. Then what you do, let's see, is you rate the entries and give them a number to allow the sorting. So I've got some stuff here. I'll show you real quick here. Let me bring them up. Actually, let me go to the next one here first. I think we kind of talk about some examples that we've got. So this is one of the ones I created for gifts chart. Now, you don't have that one, Ultimate Healers. It's a matter of getting it organized and getting it all set up. But this was the one that I did for myself. And I said, what are my gifts? What are the things that I can do? And I went to a website, actually, and I started writing down everything that they had when they talked about the gifts of the spirit. And so I put them down in this list. Now you can see that it kind of ends at 44, but I have two columns. So I just kind of kept putting things in here because I want to create a chart that when I'm working with somebody who's trying to figure out what their gifts are, I have something that I can easily look at. I can ask their subconscious, and then the subconscious will start giving me a list. You know, great at woodworking. I'm great at public speaking. I'm great at all these different things, and it helps me when I do life coaching with people. So another one was the curses. Now the Ultimate Healers have got the curse chart, but this is how it started. I would put all these lists down, and what I ended up doing was after I got the list created, then I went through and I'm able to sort them, and you'll notice that now they're alphabetically because I didn't think of them alphabetically. But it made it easier for me to go ahead and write them all down. And I'll show you the actual list here in a minute. But you look at the subheadings that I created after I put these together. I was even looking at, okay, 5, 5, 5, just to kind of help me think about how many I needed to put in a group. So let's look at that real quick. And where art thou? Curses. There we go. Okay, so here's my curse one. This is the actual one that I used. And look, it just keeps going, it keeps going, keeps going. So what I was doing there was I'm trying to figure out what was a curse. I mean, what does that mean? What is that we're actually dealing with? And I knew that I had to put that together because, you know what, we had a curse on Dr. Nelson's charts. If we go back to energies and we go to offensive, well, look, there's curses right here. Doesn't give you a whole lot of information though, does it? It tells you that a curse is out there. It's a very negative energy that's been deliberately placed. And because, you know, just a few things here and how to get rid of it, but it doesn't really tell you what the curse is. And for me, that was a little frustrating. So what I did was I created this chart, and the first thing I did was brainstorm, just like this. And I got down all through that and I started to sort them out. If you put them in a spreadsheet, here's the advantage to doing that. Then you can go back and you can put numbers next to them and you can sort them. Or you can do it alphabetically. It helps you to, once again, organize the information that you got. And a lot of times I will actually build the website, or not the website, but the chart in Excel. I'll print it out and use that as my chart. So that's that particular chart. So here's what happened. So here, an example of the spreadsheets. I just showed you that. So here is that curse spreadsheet. And from that, we now have this curse chart, the one that we use in the Ultimate Healer. And it makes it real easy to use it now when I'm working with someone, so I can find out, okay, we come up on the chart, it says, yes, you have a curse. And then we find out where it came from. We find out if it was inherited, then we find out how far back it goes. Then we find out if it was something that was placed upon you or you were self-inflicted, then we know that we have to figure out what the curse is. And so then we can use this chart by simply saying, is it in column A, B, C, or D? Is it even or odd? And then we get down to the individual one here, and then we start going down individually and figuring out which one it is. Very frequently, it'll come up as isolation, where you've actually had somebody, and it could be in the family, or isolation, or what is the other one that came up frequently? Well, a lot of these come up frequently. It's just a matter of me finding them on the site here. Loneliness comes up a lot. Brain fog, all kinds of humiliation, insensitivity. Looks came up the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, and this is my chart. I put all these on here, and I don't understand what they all mean sometimes, but it pops into my head, just like you had that German thing with the chart that you used the other day on toxins. And for looks, I'm going, oh my gosh, is this like, I am so pretty, it's been a curse, you know, things that I was looking at that. No, this was getting looks from other people, like getting the look. You know, you can, a lot of people can relate, well, my parents didn't really hit me. What they did was they gave me the look, or my wife gave me the look. And that is kind of, it can be one of those things that's in there. So when you come up here, remember, all charts are tickler files. They are there to kind of nudge you in the correct direction. And sometimes you get the one that's closest to it, remember, like I said before. So that's kind of what's going on with this one. So let's go to the next one. Oh, here, I love this woman. Janla Van Zandt. Just was talking to her just the other day. And I asked her today, I said, do I have permission to use your book? And she said, I'd be honored. So I really appreciate the fact that she has given me permission to work with this. When I first heard her stuff, and you've heard me talk about this before, look at these things on the 42 dominant negative thought patterns. Does that not look like the emotion code? I mean, really, there's a lot of emotions that are identical to the ones of the 60 different emotions that we have. And you'll notice that some of hers are double up. Disappointment, discouragement, distrust, doubt, anxiety, worry, fear. So how do you take something like this? Well, I'll tell you, people, it's done already. Look at this. All you got to do, throw some lines in there. How cool is that? And what I did was I kind of put them, because you don't want to have to go down through too many. You know, it's like the emotion code chart. Let's take a look at that real quick again, just so you can see it. Okay, let's go here, here, here. And look at that emotion code chart. So if I had to repeat every one of these, that'd be just crazy. But because he did it the way he did, he put 5 items in each one of the brackets. Now, what I did on this one, because how many is there? There's 42. Well, I did put 6. No, I put 5. Okay, I see. I put 4 in each one except for the middle one. I was coming from both ends and I got to the middle. I'm going, oh crap, there's 5 there, but it's okay. So when you come here and, you know, what else do we need on this to help us out? Well, we actually need some numbers and some letters. Doesn't that make it easy now? All I got to do is say, is it in column A? Is it column B? Is it even or odd? Oh, it's 3. Okay, column 3 on B. Okay, so overwhelm, powerlessness, pride, regret, rejection. Sounds an awful lot like the body code or the emotion code chart. Now, what would make this better? Think about it for a sec. We've talked about this in our Ultimate Healer class. The difference would be, because it's coming out of her book, which I have right here, is some page numbers. So when you go here and you get this abandonment, because we're looking things up actually in her book. Once again, this is like the internet. This is our extension. So in the book it says 159. I could have put one behind each one of them, but they're so dang close together on most of them. I figured this is less cluttered. So if it comes up, what was the one I was coming up? It doesn't matter. Let's just say anxiety. So if I go to 159, which starts at, it's on 161. And right there, it has all the information that I need for that particular item. This book is a great read. I highly recommend it. I have 2 of these books now. One I bought, one that was given to me, plus I've got the Audible version. So I listened to this when I was walking. And what I really love about this, let's look at this anxiety, fear, worry, and fear. You know, if that came up, I can go out there, and she has much more information. We have the definition. We can also look that up on our regular definitions. But it also has what it is: alarm, apprehensive, or panic without forms, dread, anticipation of disaster. So we get a number of different versions. And in other words, she goes through and it describes it. And then she also ties in the internal dialogue that you have in your head. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Did I lock the door? Am I about to lose my job? Does my partner really love me? Did I say something offensive? Goes all the way down through that. And then there's another section in the book too, if that needs to go more. And your subconscious, or the client's subconscious, is going to let you know if you need to know more. You just simply, like we always do I need to know more? If not, release it. Otherwise, you go in here, and if I was to, she even has the prayer and affirmation to neutralize, heal, and eliminate anxiety, worry, and fear. So she's got that in here, and also the affirmation. Boldly I stand in the peaceful freedom that dissolves all anxiety, confusion, worry, and fear. It's pretty conclusive, and it's a great help. So having this chart in my book or available to me makes it really simple for me to access that. Make sense? Everybody see the positive stuff there? Okay, so let's move on. Here's the completed chart for that. How cool is that? So we will be creating that chart, and I'll see if I can remember to get it out there, and I'll make it so y'all can download it from the MasterMind site. How's that? So let's move on. Here's that Wikipedia one that I was talking about. Well, shoot, it's already in 3 different columns, isn't it? So what do we need? All we need is some lines. And once again, I actually created this. In fact, let's back up one here. Well, here, let's back out of this completely. Let's go to this chart. I wanted to show you how easy this was. I'm going to duplicate this chart, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to remove that chart. So here's how simple it is. I love using PowerPoint to create charts. All you have to do is get the stuff there, or you just simply go up to the top and you go Insert, and you'll notice that it has a table. So by adding a table, I can choose how many I want to see. Well, there's 3 columns, but you know what? I need to have my A's and B's in there too, or 1, 2, 3s. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. I'm going to say, okay, so how many of these do I need? So I click on this, and then up here at the top, I always like to, let's see, table. Okay, no, let me just click on the table here. Let's see. You click on the chart. Oh, here we go, table tools. That's what I was looking for. And if you go down to the second bracket of these, you click on this one. Now it's see-through. So we can go ahead and release this again. And now I can manipulate this. I can slide this around. I can move this so that if I want this down here, just like that, actually it's not too bad right there. And I can grab these and move them just a little bit. And that's not too bad of a chart right there, is it? So that's how simple it is. Now, if you need something else, and if you got down here, just hit Enter or Tab, and it will create another one, and you can continue with that. But how easy is that? It's simple and easy to use. You can create a chart fairly quickly, and you can move these lines. All you got to do is slide them over here. So this one probably needs to go here. Oh, wait a sec. We were going to do, let's do this. Let's move the whole thing over. There we go. So it's organized. We can slide this over to here. We can grab this one, go this direction. This one needs to come out just a little bit further. So let's go. Whoops. Oh, there it is. There we go. And now all I got to do is put a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Highlight those just like I would do any kind of chart. And now I can go back to home and I can say, hey, I want to lay that out in the layout for this. Let's see, yeah, I want it to be in the even, or whoops, let me grab that again. Oh, I think I grabbed the wrong one. Hang on. There we go. See how easy that is to change that? And you can change the colors and everything else. You follow along with that? Can you see how great that is? Questions so far? So no questions?
Hi, Tom. I have a little question.
Sure.
So, for example, that chart that you were just showing that was Wikipedia, then when you're doing a session, you have access to that web page and you're testing and you click on that, and then you're finding where they're having an issue based on.
Well, what I would do for this one here, let me just give you a little bit of history on this. On this particular item, I was in the nutrition and lifestyle section. See, it's something you don't have yet. And under this, there's the option for dehydration. Normally, when you hit dehydration, you're going to think that there's a lack of water, or the water's not processing, or your body's not able to absorb the correct water, or you're not drinking the right water. This all seems to be about water. But what I learned, of course, comes back to what we've talked about before, is there's a lot of symbolism in this. So when this happens, you know, what do you think of when you haven't had food for a long time? All you think about is food. If you haven't had water for a long time, if you haven't had sex for a long time, all those things get heavy on your brain, and you start thinking about how you have a lack of that particular item. So that's where I realized that there's more to it than just dehydration. And when I came up with that, I thought, well, it's other fluids. And the answer was, yes, there were. And I thought, well, where do I find out what other kinds of fluids there are? Oh, let's go online to Wikipedia. So when I did that, it made it real easy. And of course, there's no lines. So what I will do at that particular time is, when it's just sitting here like this without any lines, I'll just, in my mind, imagine. I'll say, is it from blood serum up to the top? Is it from this one to this one? And then I'll just test and be able to figure out which one it is. And then, of course, when it's on the screen, I can just click on it. Now, if you make a chart on your book, obviously you can't click on this. So there's going to be something you're going to have to look up. And that's a lot of times what I'll do, especially if it comes to a chart where I am using, we've talked about this before. If I, whoops, I don't want to do that one. Let's go to this one. Let's put up Brainstorm. So you can also type this in, and immediately you'll get, I will usually go to the images, because it's easier for me to create a chart out of this. So now I've got all these wonderful pictures that has just expanded my chart system to an infinite degree. So I go down through this. I'll use the whole page as my chart. I'll say, do I see it on the chart right now? And the answer is no. So I go down to the next group. Do I see it on the chart right now? Yes. Is it in the top left? Yes. So I'll click on this one over here, and I'll say, is this the correct chart? And it'll say yes. Or maybe it's something over on this side. So I'm using this the same way I would use the body code or any kind of chart system to find what I'm looking for. And then I'll say, okay, so is it on the left side of the screen or on the right side of the screen? It's on the left side. It says no, it's all about the cranial nerves. So if I don't have what I need right here, if I click on this, it may take me to a website that does it. But a lot of times what I'll need to do is I'll need to put that in to Google cranial nerves and see what shows up. And maybe I need to go now on this page and figure out what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Google, that's one of the cool things about having not just the app, but also having the internet access, where you can go and you can figure out what's going on. And you know, maybe it's another picture that you're supposed to look at, and you bring it up and you say, okay, are we dealing with something on the right side or on the left side? Is it well, there's the trochlear, number 5, or number 4, I should say. And I don't know anything about this, but I can copy it, put it in, look at it again, and take it down even further. I have literally gone in on eyes and looked at the different parts of the vision system, and we found that there was a wall on the inside of a cornea. I mean, it can get as deep as we need to go, but the thought that I want to leave with everybody is that it doesn't matter. Anything that you bring up can be created into a chart. And that's does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on what we've talked about tonight? All right. Well, then what we're going to do is we're going to close this one down. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. And we're going to go out, and those of you who are on the Ultimate Healer program, we're going to start that. Now, we're going to be opening up that Ultimate Healer program again in probably the end of April. And hopefully by then we'll have a lot of great stuff out there. Those of you who have missed some of the MasterMind, you're welcome to go out there at healersresource.com. Doesn't cost anything to become a member. Doesn't cost anything to purchase the MasterMind program. And that has 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many there are out there right now. But those are little snippets like we did tonight to kind of help you become a better healer. Yeah, so there's stuff out there that is for anybody who wants to go out there and look at that stuff. We got over 60 people out there that have been out there watching the videos. Some of those videos I'm going to put on YouTube just to make sure that I'm out there, but I want to make sure I go through them all and remove anybody's pictures if we've got that on there. Any other questions, folks? All right, well, thank you very much for being here, and I'll see the Ultimate Healers in just a couple minutes.